ready to dazzle your screen. Here we are live. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Wow.
can't really hear it, so
Yeah, it's probably a good thing.
it's bad enough. I try to dance, so
Hey, we're evolving. You know, it's just going to take some time. Everybody, welcome to the Canadian Bro Show. All basketball from the Hoop Junkies, Pauly and ROWLEY. This is episode 12. We are extremely happy to be here. We've got a good show, and we've had a couple of really good shows with our previous shows in both iterations. With episode 11, and then with Johnny, with Trent joining Johnny and I was really a lot of fun, and it's nice to do that once in a while. Because Johnny and Trent, I don't think had met previously. Is that correct?
No.
My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, and my partner in crime is Mr. Trent ROWLEY, the co-host
Yeah.
with the most. And we are Hoop Junkies. And we'd like to start off the show with, first of all and foremost, Trent, how's the health? How you feeling going into the second week of recovery?
Feeling good, man.
Yeah? You look
Kinda
good.
slowly getting back to normal. So
That's good. Whatever normal is for you.
exactly.
Who knows what that is? It could be
Nobody.
anything.
That's the mystery.
That's why I said it. It's not really a mystery because we all have an opinion, but I'm just not going to share it on the show.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I can live with that.
Yeah, fair enough. And Trent, aside from that, everything's good in St. Paul?
It's good, man. Just a bit of
Happy
snow.
wifey, happy lifey, a little bit of snow.
We're about to get.
Slammed.
We just got snow last night, a bunch of it, and we're
Yeah.
about to. I don't know, into the minus 30s here for a few days. So
Yeah, you've got that Arctic
or vortex.
vortex coming down and pummeling the rest of Canada. We're going to get a little bit here in Kelowna as well, but not as much as you. We're not too far from you, by the way. If you look at the map, Canada is so freaking huge.
It
is to drive to get to St. Paul would take me probably 14 hours. To fly, if you pick me up in Edmonton, would take me an hour and 15 minutes, I guess. And we'll hopefully see you in June. That would be great. But to get to the show, Trent, you want to start off with we'll start off with fantasy basketball.
Yeah, let's start off. I'm playing the first place team. We're in second and third, and
how's that going with the first place team?
I think I'm 5-4 right now for me, but he's got a few more games tonight, and then the weekend should be. Hey, if I can be in with 5-4 either way with him, I'm good. So
that's funny. I'm 5-4 as well.
Yeah, he was 7-2, so I made a couple
headway.
of changes.
That's good. Me too.
And
And by the way, we talked about this many times. I've saved 2 spots for the remainder of this weekend, both Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm going to put in players that are Saturday, Sunday, hopefully Sunday, Monday, or Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. Those players, I'll drop somebody that is not healthy, recovering from an injury. Aaron Gordon as a center who's putting up good numbers until he got this calf contusion that's been going on for a month and a half. But he uses his calf contusion more than we certainly do, so it's understandable. It takes longer to heal. He's a big dude. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We're going into week 13 coming up, and shall we talk about waiver wire pickups? I mean, who did you pick up before we go there? You said you did a couple of tweaks.
Really nice surprise too was I picked up
not Malik Monk. You already knew about that.
I picked up Leget's Dort, our good old Canadian.
Yeah.
And he dropped like 5 threes last night and some steals and stuff like that. So
in 22 minutes.
Yeah, shout out to that guy. He is. I have to give. There's a guy that I would. You got to give him some credit. He is really. He's really come around. He really has for them. He's really improved as a player. He's limited, but he's like a 36% shoot 3-point shooter. He was in the 20s before, and he plays defense, can guard 3 positions. Just a nice player for them. So.
Excuse me, I got a little flu-like symptoms.
And he's Canadian, which always makes it even.
Absolutely, and he increased his 3-point shooting because he didn't have enough arc, and he was shooting like 32%.
Right.
And somebody whispered in his ear, if you shoot with the 53 to 54 degree like Curry, the best shooter in the world,
Yeah.
you have a better chance of the ball going in because two basketballs side by side fit into the rim. A lot of people
Exactly.
don't know that, and they're just blown away by that.
Yeah. But yeah, I
So
snuck and he helped out a lot. Hitting 5 threes. That was nice. And
in 22 minutes is incredible.
shout out to well, it was a blowout, right? So he usually plays pretty high minutes. But shout out to OKC. They put it on Cleveland last night. I mean, it was
Wow.
they're missing their two bigs, and they're still the best defensive team in the league. They are just all over the ball. It's like if you catch the ball and you're not paying attention, if you go to spin, somebody's there waiting for you to help. There's always a double coming, a trap coming.
Yeah.
They're a really well coached team, fun to watch, and you got a couple Canadians on there. They're scary when they get those two bigs back.
They're they're
Hartenstein
they're deep
back.
too. When they get the two bigs back, it's
It's
scary.
like think
And
about that. You're going to take two people out of their starting lineup right now, and they're winning to put those two bigs in. I mean, it's and again, I looked at their drafts. What they have for draft picks, they have 4 first-round picks this year.
yeah,
They should trade like 3 of those picks and trade to whoever has number 1. Give them all 3 first-round picks for Cooper Flight. Could you imagine?
that's not the style of the GM, but
It's
he
not.
does have.
He's done
He's
great.
got 34 draft picks
That's crazy.
in his back pocket.
They fleeced the Clippers so bad for Paul
They
George.
fleeced everyone so bad, and that's why Danny Ainge has been trying to copy him at Utah, and sitting at Utah, sitting Laurie Markkinen for back contusion for the 15th time this season. It's starting to be really. I should have never drafted. I should have listened to Joss Lloyd.
Yeah,
Never draft him because this is what they're going to do. And it's a shame because the finisher can play. He's a 7-footer and on the right
player.
system and the right player. He's a great teammate. He's a good, solid citizen, and it's just the greed of the NBA and how it's run sometimes is it's just I don't know. It's really upsetting. But with regards to pickups, I picked up a couple of guys too, as I'm very active on all 8 of my teams. I'm probably the most active waiver
Yeah, you
wire
and I are in our league. You and I are the most active by
1
far.
and 2, yeah. But on the other 7, I destroy everyone on that. And it's coming to fruition once again. It's hit and run, and it's a lot of hit and miss. You pick someone up, and then they have a back contusion, and they're out for the remainder of the 3-4 game week, and then you just wasted a thing, and then a guy gets injured, and then you need to replace the injury, or just don't put him in the injury reserve because you only have one spot left. So you got to be really careful. So the one guy I picked up, and I actually had him before Mark Williams decided to actually play and not sit on the bench for the last 2 years. And by the way, he's played really well with Charlotte, and they need everything they can get. Is Nick Richards got traded to the Phoenix
Yeah.
Suns because Yusuf, I don't know what's going on with Yusuf.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with him, dude. His attitude sucks, and they're going to trade his ass. I don't know who's going to pick him up. He might have to go back to EuroLeague because honestly, he's a big fat stiff.
Well, he might be able to go play in the new league that LeBron's manager Rich Paul's going to start in Europe. So.
Oh my God, we'll talk about that in the other new league in the next segment. I want to hear that. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
The next guy I want to talk about is because of the Jimmy Butler saga, who probably I think he called up Pat Riley and told him to F off. I don't need you, but you need me. So you better play me coming back after this extra suspension because you need to trade me. And nobody's going to pick me up. And well, you don't negotiate that with Pat Riley. But at the end of the day, they got to get rid of the dude. And the one kid I've been waiting for, and the problem with me in fantasy basketball, Trent, one of my biggest weaknesses is I have a tendency to believe players before they're ready to be believed.
Yeah.
I'll pick them up sort of a year or 2 years before they've actually had time to mature and find the right situation. And this is one of these kids. But this kid is a true 7-footer. It's Nikola Jovic.
Yeah, he's a nice young player. Dude.
Oh,
really nice player.
He's super nice. And they needed another big on their floor because he's a stretch 4 that can play 5, even though he's really thin. But Bam's injured right now. And I don't know what's going on with Miami in terms of their rotation, their players, but they're usually stacked. And they're really struggling. The only guy that has really shown any life is Tyler Hero.
Yeah, and I was going to give a little shout out to him. he is probably having the best year of his career so far. He is
He
just
is statistically. Yeah.
yeah, statistically he is on it right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good for him. I mean, because
Yeah.
he's been injury prone and busy dating porn stars and everything else, living the Miami South
And
Beach life,
wearing pink
and just
outfits down in
just
South Beach.
terrible attire. But kid
Yeah.
can play, can
Yeah.
shoot it. He's
Yeah.
not just a 3-point shooter. He's having probably his best year statistically
Well,
by far right now.
he's
Playing.
he's literally playing the point guard as well
Yep.
because they
Yep.
they don't have a point guard.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. It's like they just fell. It just fell out with them. Like it's really weird.
Yeah, it is
Like
weird. And that's
they went from
unusual for them because they're such a well-run
yeah,
franchise. But I think it's just a blip. I think you got to get rid of this. Once you get rid of Butler and they allow Jaime, Jaquez,
yep.
and Jovic, and the
Hero.
Terry Rozier trade did not work out. I don't think.
I'm not never been
Um,
a big
no, me neither. But I mean, he's the type of player I like. He's got a
freaky.
lot of shake and a lot of bake,
He's
and he can
uh,
score. But he's a
he's
chucker.
yeah
He's
exactly. He's a 4 to 5 game guy where he's just going crazy, and then he's a 10 game guy where you forgot he's even on the roster. So
sounds like
no
Kevin Herter.
yeah no consistency at all. So
So the next guy is, and I picked him up and tried him out because the fact that he's back in the NBA is amazing, but only because of the way he played with the French in the World Cup, the French team. Gershon Yabusele, undersized big. He's about 6'8", 255. But apparently, Big Africa is out for another 10 to 12 days with a
he's
swollen
missing the
left
road trip.
knee.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. The
he's
amount
only
of money.
playing on one knee. This is going to go on for the remainder of his career. I don't know why you picked up a guy that is damaged. He is bone on his left knee.
Thing is, they could still. There's teams in the NBA so desperate that the Sixers could get such a haul for that guy. And I don't. You
Yeah,
can say you shouldn't do it. I agree, you shouldn't because he's only going to play 40 games, if that. But when he plays, he's a dominant player. But he is.
very.
They could get so much for that guy right now. Like
You
if they
think
were
there are
smart
teams out there
without,
that would give away the bucket just to get this
they would.
guy?
They would, man.
Well, I wouldn't.
Guarantee. I guarantee they would. There's teams
I
out there that
wouldn't.
would give away draft picks and a couple young talent like for him right now.
He's
It's
not
just
going anywhere. Philly they
no.
dropped $250 million into the dude. So, you know.
All you got to do is look at Philadelphia management. They're the team that also drafted Marcel Folks over Jason Tatum and others. So I mean,
Wow,
terribly
that
run. And I'm a Sixer fan as a kid, and just a terribly run franchise. Honestly,
yeah.
it just is. So,
Yeah, it started about 10 years ago when they started, and we won't go there. We'll try to
nope.
stay in the moment. The
Yep.
next guy is Hemi Jaquez Jr., the
Yeah.
versatile 6'8" forward out of
He's on a decent run
UCLA.
right now, but he was struggling this year.
Well, no,
I,
but I mean, last year he had a great
I
first
know.
year.
I
And by the
drafted him.
way, ironically, he is Jimmy Butler's
Yep.
biatch.
I
And
I I
in the
I
NBA,
drafted.
everyone knows what that is. You got to get donuts. You got to give him a
I,
pedicure.
I drafted him like almost near the last round of our draft, and then I
Yeah,
kept him for a bit, and then he just really struggled.
yeah.
So,
Well, he's picked
but
it up recently, knowing
yeah, yeah,
that his biatch is going to
more
be
minutes.
gone.
Yeah,
Well, I think he's very versatile. He gives you all the categories that you need. He's a hustler. He's big. He's broad.
yep,
He can shoot the three. He drops dimes. He's a hustle guy. He rebounds.
yep,
He does everything. And sooner they get rid of Jimmy, the better, as far as I'm concerned. The next guy is a guy that I was really intrigued when he got drafted in the NBA, and I just thought, no way, man. We've seen so many guys like this, and it's taken a while. But Scoot had a record career
yep,
game just a few
yep,
days ago,
yep,
and Chauncey Billups said, "Hey, look, I'll give you the opportunity, but you really need to understand the importance of putting together a consistency in a number of games in a row." And he's done it. Even last night, had a decent game,
yep,
And I picked him up on a couple of my teams because of his dynamic nature and how terrible they are, and the injuries they have. Right? I mean, once again, the same injured guys are always the same injured guys. Avoid those guys. If you're a GM, avoid them. They're sitting on the bench. They're at halftime. They're going to have a bowl, and they play 14 minutes one game and then sit out for 2 months.
yep,
And
yep,
I don't want players like that. I want players who are going to go out and work and have character and
yep,
earn your money, man.
yep, yep.
Next guy, I do like, but he has a problem. His shooting can be really erratic. kind of like his dad, is Cole Anthony.
Right.
Because of their backcourt injuries and their inconsistent backcourt, Cole Anthony is somebody that people are picking up, and I won't do it anymore
Yeah, he's
myself.
getting a lot of minutes, yeah, because of
Yeah.
those injuries. That's all, though.
And another guy that's getting all those minutes and doesn't really do anything, he plays good deep, but he's playing on the best team in the NBA, is Case and Wallace,
Right.
combo guard and backcourt, and he
That's what
doesn't need
picks
to
him up,
score.
but he doesn't get, yeah, he's not getting enough minutes to really put up. Like, he'll have one good game, and then the other ones are okay, but they're just
Yeah.
not helping you really out.
Well, he's starting and he's getting 25 to 28 minutes, but you don't count him in that team. You don't count him to score. You count him to play D, steals, stocks, that sort of thing. And he's a good player. I wouldn't pick him up myself because I
Yep.
need players that give me 7 out of those 9
Right.
categories.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
And then we mentioned him at the last show. I love this kid. I watched him a couple of times, and I think he's really intriguing, especially because he's playing in the Portland. Is Tumani Kamara?
Yeah, I just
Great name. He's 6'9", and he's just a smooth brother. And he's young, but he's been playing really well. I think he's on the cusp of superstardom in the NBA.
I picked him up to play last night to help me out a bit, and
Yeah,
I just dropped him just as we were before the show and picked
I know,
up.
it's a thing. I know.
I picked up Jaden McDaniels because he's playing back-to-back games and
Yeah,
tonight, tomorrow, and
yeah,
he's actually I've had him probably 3 or 4 times now in my lineup, but it just again like we talked about, you usually have like 2 spots or at least one for sure where you're kind of juggling guys, like picking up guys, and you might pick up the same guys, just saying, hey, they're playing 2 games back to back. I'll
yeah.
pick them up because it's going to help out with, hey, I'm behind in steals or I'm behind, right? So
Exactly.
it's kind of like Terry Eason, right, from
Yeah.
the Rock, same type
Yeah,
of thing.
he's back, but that left
Yeah,
knee of his is it needs.
his
I would be
attitude problem.
concerned about that. And the other guy is Scoot Henderson. Scoot plays Saturday, Sunday
Yeah,
consecutively just
yeah,
after a couple of games ago, and I just said, I'm going to roll with this guy because I need Saturday, Sundays,
yep.
right? Even if he does an average game of say 16,
Yeah, no,
6
for sure.
dimes, couple threes, couple steals with decent
Yep,
shooting percentage, he's been shooting better.
yep,
He's a guy that I would look at too. And the next guy everyone's talking about, and I do like him. He just hasn't really done it. He had the opportunity with the Mavericks, and that is Quentin Grimes.
yeah,
And it's just
yep.
him and with Luca being out, all these guys had, and Kyrie was out, and Dinwiddie can't shoot. He can't hit the. Guy's shooting 36% from the field.
Yeah, and he's
Like,
supposed to be a shooter, so
well, yeah, I just honestly, and I like him too. It blows my mind. And then the guy I'm going to bring up, I'd never pick up, but he just blew my mind where he came out and he had 2 games in a row, had 36 one game, 28 the next. Bryce Sensabaugh out
yep.
of Utah. But of course, in Utah, people, if you're playing fantasy, don't draft anybody in Utah
What about
right now.
Sexton?
Huh?
I like the young guard there from. I think he went to Alabama.
Keyshawn
Sexton.
George?
Oh,
Oh,
Sexton.
Sexton's great. He
Yeah,
but
man.
but
Plays hard.
Sexton and Clarkson are the
Plays on
only
his
2
side.
players I would consider.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Clarkson just doesn't care. He's never met a shot he doesn't like, and he's just a prolific gunner.
He's a
But Sexton is, if Sexton was 6'6",
I
he is
know.
the tenacity that kid plays with
Plays
is
so hard.
phenomenal. If you could clone that dude in different sizes, I could make an entire team of Colin
And
Sexton.
he's a better shooter than he used to be. Like, he still
Yeah,
needs to improve, but he's
yeah,
still only been in the league for 4 years. Like, he's
right.
still going to grow, right?
Still a
So
young
I
man.
always liked him. He plays super hard. Like,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So those are the ones that Dan Titus does a show. I like to use his show because but I'm really interested to see what happens with Nick Richards because I really
yeah,
like the way he played with when Mark Williams is down for
averaging,
extended time,
he was averaging a double when he got to play all those
and
games.
2 blocks, and
Yeah.
and and played consistently for a 7-footer, and
I
I
went
think
to
he's
pick
going
him
to
up.
fit in.
He was already gone in our league, so
Yeah,
I
I
went to pick
picked him
him
up.
up right
I,
away. No, you didn't. Somebody else in our league had
I
him.
know.
Yeah,
But I picked him out of my 8 teams. I picked him up in 4.
I tried, and I see Gogo's. I almost picked him up today, but he's
He's
out for the concussion still.
Yeah, he's not that. Please, let's not talk about the NBA concussion thing. It's
Gogo.
ridiculous. It's
So, and the
ridiculous.
only guy I would mention, and it's just been a surprise. I wouldn't pick him up in fantasy, but a guy that nobody even seems to know about. But if you watch their games, if he gets an open shot, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be open, it's going up and it's going in a lot. is AJ Green from Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
That kid can shoot it. If he gets an open three, he's shooting 44% from the 3-point line right now.
Yeah.
What's weird is he's shooting 44% from the 3-point line and like 42 from the field.
Well, because most of his shots are 3-pointers.
I know, but I'm just saying. So now he's making the threes and missing a 15-foot jump shot kind of thing.
Well, because nobody in the NBA wants you to take a 15-foot jump shot. It's the worst shot in basketball as far as they're concerned.
That kid can stroke.
But look at his body. Look how strong he is. And he's, you know what? Exactly. He's tenacious. He plays D. He gets into it.
Old school shooting form too.
He's old school. Period. Look at his broken nose and the guns and the bad hair.
He's not a guy to pick up, so I'm not telling anybody.
No, but Milwaukee did a good job, as we talked about with Milwaukee.
Great scouting.
But we talked about with Milwaukee, they need more depth. They need more shooting, and they've done that, and that's why that and.
Yeah, I mean, when you got Giannis and Lillard, there's gonna be an open space at some point for you to shoot shots, like wide open shots.
Well, if Giannis is healthy and Lillard has a better year, which he has.
Yeah, so he's a perfect. I just brought him up because just one of those surprise players that I knew who he was, but hadn't really seen him play a lot, like in the NBA especially. And this year, like wow, like good on him, good for him. So he has basically made your boy Pat Connaughton not exist anymore.
He still exists. He's part of the second rotation.
He's a good role player. I just like I'm banging on Pat.
I know you don't like him. You don't like him, but he's very similar to AG Green in that they're both like old school '90s, white guards. They're athletic. I mean, he was probably a better baseball player than he was a basketball player, but he loved basketball more.
Yeah, good role player coming off the bench. But the problem for Milwaukee was last year he had to play way too much last year. He's just not a guy who should be playing 28 minutes a game. He's just not that guy.
Well, it just shows you the depth problem they had last year.
So no, good on AJ Green, man. Good for that kid.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch their games, especially their home games. It's kind of like watching when you watch somebody who can really shoot it. When he gets it, it's already this buzz. You can already feel the buzz from the crowd before he's letting it go because they're anticipating a three being made, basically, right? So it's fun to watch.
Well, when you're shooting a high percentage, they expect it, but it's also the way he shoots the ball. We talked about it briefly. Yeah. I brought it up briefly about him being a true jump shooting three, because if you watch him shoot, he's
very old school.
Very worldly free, he's way over, and he's got to get up on the release, and he's 6'5", 6'6", so and he's strong, man.
The ball is tight.
It's good. It's good that we talk about people that nobody else is talking about because I agree with you.
I know you're not picking them up on your fantasy team, but it's just one of those players that if you're to watch the Bucks and you haven't watched the Bucks this year, and that guy all of a sudden hits 5 threes, most people are going, who is that guy? Where did that guy come from? Well, he's already here, people. He's shooting 44%. He's actually got himself a real good niche in the lineup for the Bucks right now.
Yeah.
And Middleton, they pushed Middleton to the bench.
Yeah, that's where he belongs, honestly. He's not ready. After 2 ankle surgeries, I love Middleton, but he's better coming off the bench in the second unit.
When they won that title, I mean, I know Giannis gets the finals MVP. He deserved it.
Yeah.
But going through the playoffs into the finals, it was Chris Middleton who won them games. It was Chris Middleton taking last shots. It was Chris Middleton having the ball more with the minute.
Do you remember the couple of games in the fourth quarter he just took right over?
Dude, and all mid-range jump shots. All like DeMar DeRozan.
That's his game. That's his game.
Yeah. It was so old school, right?
I mean, and that's exactly what we're, let's talk about last night's games.
Oh, yeah, they were great. Both great.
2 games. There was only 5 games on, but did you get a chance to watch the Kings and Houston game?
I did. I didn't get to watch the other one, but I got to watch the Kings Houston game, and
me too.
Malik Monk and I mean Sabonis is just incredible.
What a machine, What a machine.
Him and Sengun going at it was really fun to watch.
Oh, very fun to watch.
Size and footwork and two Europeans, right? Like footwork.
Very similar in a lot of ways,
Very similar, yeah. I would say that Sengun's the better ball handler.
Yeah.
But he is just they were playing physical with each other, like hitting each other. That was the matchup I was watching the most, honestly, was those two going at it. It was super fun.
I watched the entire game because it was so good, but Sabonis, I could have drafted in the second round.
Me too.
of about 6 of my fantasy teams,
Yeah,
and I went
all of
I went for like guys like Damon Lillard and Trey Young and
them. You love those
Stephen
3.
Curry, and I missed, honestly. I'll never do that again. He is my favorite big in the NBA, and if anything, I'd say he's closest to um, the Joker as
Yep.
and he's a double double machine. He drops dimes. He can hit the three. He's a great teammate. He's always playing with a smile and tenacity, and you can see all of his teammates appreciate his work ethic and character. And I really love what the Kings have done since they fired Brown and gave Doug Christie the opportunity. And I tell you what, the synergy and the energy going on with that team right now is, and moving Monk to the starting lineup, which I thought he should have been in the first place. Because Red Velvet, seriously, I can't believe he's in the NBA.
Yeah, I'm Red Velvet is yeah, I can
And
live with
people
that.
love him. Whatever. I just think he's soft. He'll give you 2 games and then he'll disappear for 8. And
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can't stand that. I can't stand that.
Yeah,
And nobody can. But he's getting paid, so I'll just shut up. Um, but in Houston, this kid Jalen Green. Oh my
oh,
God, man!
yep, yep,
I honestly, I saw, but what he's done this year is shocked me. I could have got him in 6th and 7th rounds on all
right.
of my fantasy teams, and I just didn't pull the trigger, and I really regret it. That's one of my
Yeah.
biggest regrets of this fantasy season, because the way this kid's playing and dunking on people, it was just incredible. He's
The
so
one
fun
that
to watch.
the one I would say I regret because he fills up all the stats and he seems to be. I mean, I watched him play college, so I knew who he was, and I think I was about a round late because I kept it was one of those. He's one of those guys that you would. Uh, you think you keep going like, okay, that's a guy that I think I can get in the 7th or 8th round. Like I'll just keep. Oh, nobody picked him this round. I'm picking. Oh, I won't. I'll wait till next round, and then all of a sudden he gets picked,
Yeah.
and that's Amen Thompson. That kid can ball. Like
Both Thompson
he,
brothers.
is, but he is balling out right now for
Oh my
Houston.
God! I
He
mean,
is
he's
great.
making everybody else look irrelevant. And
You
and
look
by
at
the
his.
way,
Oh, he fills every box. He is like the ultimate fantasy type player.
well,
Like
they're the fifth best defensive team in the NBA,
I
and
just, I missed
Houston
on that
is.
one. I
Yeah, me too. I missed on that as well.
waited too long, right? He's one of those guys.
Excuse me.
You kept thinking that you could get. I'll wait, and then all of a sudden someone takes him. So
But they have so
yeah,
much depth, right? I mean, they were playing deep into their bench, and then you've got the kid with the bad mustache having the great game in the G League, and
yep,
then you've got, Cam, who's a scoring machine. He will be a 20 point. He'll be one of these scoring guys that's coming off the bench for them. But honestly, I think they really need another big to back up Sangoon, and
yep,
I'm not really sure if the experiment with the kid from Auburn, who's at 12 points, 7 rebounds. He's injured right now. I like him, Smith Jr.
right.
He's a good kid, and I just don't. He's one of these. Another example of what I said earlier about drafting or believing in players that are just not quite ready.
That'd be a tough guy to let go unless they were to
I,
really be
w-
able
I
to pick.
wouldn't let go of him. That's not what I was
He,
saying though. But
oh, okay. Yeah, he's a good. He has so much potential.
I just say I had more faith in him.
Yeah, fair.
He's a year away or
He's a young
whatever.
player. Yep,
He,
yep.
he is,
You're right.
but
That's a fair
he's
way.
6'11". He's long. He's a good kid. I love him. But that game last night was exciting, and watching Demar hit threes and not miss any mid range, and the synergy between them right now is very exciting. I really enjoyed that game.
That mid range shot he hit with about 50 seconds left,
Just
it was
sick,
like in
sick.
that guy like turnaround 15-footer, guy's hand touches his hand when he shoots it, and it
Yeah,
doesn't touch anything but string. It is just
yeah,
net. It like he is. I've always liked him. Unfortunately, I know he doesn't believe it because he's made comments towards it. Toronto was never going to win with him.
yeah.
Trading him for Kawhi was the best thing they did to get a title. I would have loved to seen it. Would have been if it would have been Demar winning it, but that just wasn't in the cards.
So the other game that we were talking about, Cleveland, for once, just wasn't in the game from the beginning. I'm not really sure. It happens sometimes. The only guy that showed up for Cleveland was Garland.
Yeah,
Mobley disappeared, like completely disappeared. Allen disappeared. Mitchell disappeared. Garland had 20 and 9, 2 and a block, and no one on the bench played. It was just an ugly game for
it was.
Cleveland, and it happens. But
Yep.
that being said, your man Dort, you were just talking about, our Canadian friend. Jay Will, the other, actually played. Case and Wallace, who we talked about, and SGA is just playing probably. I think he's the best point guard in the NBA right now.
Should have been the MVP last year. He's the MVP right now this year.
Yeah, and might end up being that way. The way he's playing is remarkable. But again, when you look at the great teams, Trent, you see the obvious tangible ingredients that they have that other teams don't. They have it all. They have character. They have depth. They have great management. Um, they have great coaching. They have a great organization on and off the court. The players enjoy each other. It's watching them play. And SGA being Canadian again, I'm serious, man. He's the reason why Canada is the fifth best nation in the world right now.
Yep.
And
every one of their players, like if you look at the two stat lines last night, and I know it's a 20-point blowout, but if you look at Oklahoma City's starters, everybody's a plus when they're on the floor. They only had one bench player that was a minus, and two that were pluses. If you look at Cleveland, there's a couple bench players that were plus. I still can't believe Tristan Thompson's playing basketball, but good for him.
No, he's getting a paycheck. He's on the bench as a cheerleader and a veteran leader.
He's got to pay for those 20 kids he has with 18 different women, probably. So,
is it that many? He has more than Sean Kemp.
No, it's being sarcastic. But everybody on Cleveland is a minus, and Mobley was a minus 24, and Mitchell a minus 28. Like Mobley only had 3 rebounds, 2 for 7. Like
he took the night off, bro.
And when you watch the highlights of that game, though, as I was saying about Oklahoma City, when him or Allen ever touched the ball in the paint, it was an instant double. Somebody's got their hand in there trying to get the ball. Like they don't just let guys just impose their will. Like they play. I mean, they're the best defensive team in the league, and they're playing without their 2 bigs. I mean, everybody should be worried about. They're just going to get better. They're not going to get worse. They're young, so they're just going to get better.
Dude, I think they have a serious chance with the bigs coming back healthy of winning the NBA championship this year.
They got a 5 to 7 year window right now with the contracts that they have and stuff like that. They are.
Yeah, we talked about that quite a bit.
Oh, it's awesome. I love it. I'd love to see it. So.
Yeah, and a small market too, which is very, very cool. And just to watch, you get the right GM, and you have to give kudos to the GM. What he's done with that franchise and the organization and ownership is in a small market. It's remarkable.
What they're doing there is that should be your template of how to run a team or how to build a team.
Yeah, for sure.
In that Houston game, the only other guy I'd like to give in that Houston Sacramento game.
Yeah.
The other guy I'd like to give a little bit of shine, a couple of guys actually to give a little shine to, is Keegan Murray seems to be kind of waking up now for them. He's been playing a lot better here lately.
Yeah, good luck with
that. He had 11 boards last night with I don't know, I think he had 14 points or 18 points. Yeah, so he had a decent game last night. Yeah. But the other guy is just a shout out to this guy. I love that Georgetown's own Jeff Green is still out there playing, dude, doing his thing. Like old man. So just a shout out to him, still playing. Everybody talks about how LeBron's played all these years and all that, and other people, and Jeff Green, because he's a backup, never seems to get.
Trent, please don't put Jeff Green in.
No, I'm just saying, just longevity-wise, that guy's played for a lot of teams. And has always been a good role player for lots of teams. I've always liked the guy just how he plays, and he's an athlete.
Me too. So. And he's 6'9", and he's had 2 heart surgeries, open heart surgeries.
Shout out to him for just being that guy still in the league. So.
Well, while we're on the NBA, we can go back into. I want to talk about the NBA All-Star. They have a new format, and I know you're not a big fan. And then the MVP race. But before we do that, because we didn't mention either NCAA Division I college, male or female, to start, or Caitlin Collins, and we normally do, but there is an unrivaled. This is out of Associated Press. The new 3-on-3 women's basketball league set for debut.
Yep.
I'll let you comment about this, Trent. How do you feel about that? What do you think?
Good
Copying Ice Cube?
Yeah, they're trying to make a little bit of extra money, right? Some of these girls are saying, hey, instead of going to Europe, because there's a lot of girls over in Europe right now playing.
Yeah.
And instead of going, or even in China, right, playing and making a little bit, money and all that kind of stuff. And
there's a lot of money in China.
Yeah, and it's still these, they're trying to build up their salaries. I mean, there's some women making 250, kind of thing. That's a high, some of the core players. But again, this is a way for them to make a little bit extra money. I'm curious to see how it goes. I mean, you've got a few players that aren't playing that are big names in the WNBA. So I know they're playing in a smaller venue. I don't think they're traveling from venue to venue. I'm not sure. I have to look at that,
Excuse me.
like Big Three does. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'll watch a little bit of it just to see what it's like. But it'll probably have a hard time piquing my interest, to be completely honest.
Well,
So,
without Caitlin in it, totally. And she
yeah,
politely declined. So I'll give you a little blurb. The new 3-and-3 women's basketball league, co-founded by WNBA stars Brianna Stewart and Napolisa Collier,
yep.
will
Minnesota
debut
Lynx.
tonight.
Yep.
And the idea for the domestic league was first discussed a couple of years ago, and now it's come to fruition. I can't even put into words what it's going to be like. Stewart said, "Well, yeah, she's got to make a lot of money, and good for her." It's just the fact that there's so much hype and so much content. Guess where the hype comes from? We won't go there right now, but we'll let them just have some little love.
Amen.
So much chatter about opening now. We're really working hard to the point where both on and off the court, the excitement just kind of goes in and showcases what we've done. The league features 36 of the best players in the WNBA, including the two co-founders, who are both
Right.
fantastic players,
Yep.
whose teams will play against each other on opening night. Sensational WNBA rookie Angel Reese's team plays in the second contest. Not a fan. I think I'll be taking it into introductions. Collier says once the ball goes up, it's just a game.
Yep.
Um, at the end of the day, the games will be played on a court that's 20 feet shorter than the
Right.
NBA court, which I
Yep.
find really surprising. Three are the 7-minute quarters, and then the fourth quarter will be played to a winning score. Very
That's
interesting.
the winning score. Yep.
And then the total will be determined by adding 11 points to the score, which is leading after three quarters. It sounds like there's a lot of room for Vegas activity in this league. I don't know. I'm not particularly fond of it. But as we were talking about in the pre-show, and I mentioned this as what we would bring up briefly, and you said about another league you were talking about.
Oh, it looks like he's got to have his hand in everything, and they think they're a big deal. So, um, Rich Paul, I guess,
LeBron's friend, and
or Maverick Carter, sorry, his business manager,
they're all
LeBron.
connected to LeBron.
Yeah, and he's looking
Excuse
at
me.
an advisor to look for seeking investors to raise $5 billion to form an international basketball league that would serve as a rival to the NBA. It was reported yesterday. So
Wow.
uh, it includes multiple private equity funds looking to form a league consisting of 6 men's teams, 6 women's teams, playing games around the world. That kind of thing. Um, so
Good luck with that. I mean,
if
seriously,
anything, yeah,
they're trying to undermine FIBA and the
the
largest
thing is,
governing body in the world.
yeah, and they're trying to undermine that, but at the same time, like we've talked about, the WNBA is just hitting its stride, and you guys are going to go and try to disrupt it by thinking you're going to be able to pay. Well, we can pay you more, and you can play in Spain. And so girls will be like, women will be like, hey, fine, I'll go over there. And I mean, I don't blame them, but you're basically, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I mean, it's bad enough that we already know that when LeBron retires, him and Rich Paul and Maverick Carter will have an NBA team in Las Vegas. So
Yeah,
let's,
yeah,
and I've told you that, I predicted it, and it
yeah.
will be happening. So,
It was
and if he
obvious.
retires,
Everyone knew about 5 years ago.
it's ridiculous. So, I mean, it is what it is. So we'll just leave it
So
at
the other thing, and always appreciate your candor, because that's what's great about the show. We can just talk about. And by the way, this is
say whatever
just
you want.
these are just our own subjective interpretations and our opinions. This is not about anything. We're not trying
Yeah.
to undermine any
Nobody
credible
hates
sources.
anybody or anything. Yeah.
No, not at all. We're back. We're hoop junkies. We love the
Yeah.
sport. So we're just two guys. If we were, I'd rather be with Trent in his sports bar right now, having some beverages, listening to some hoops, watching hoops.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's the next best thing. And he's in his sports bar. I'm in my sports man cave
Yep.
slash office slash bedroom, and I love it. It's my sanctuary. And I'm very happy to be here. But the next segment, so the NBA is always trying to find some way to make more money, and yet they don't need any more money because they've got billions and billions and
Yeah.
billions. And because the NBA viewership is down significantly, some are saying high 40s, early 50%,
Yep.
which is really shockingly large.
Not. I'm not surprised, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that.
Yep.
And so the NBA has decided, in their infinite wisdom, announced that a new format from 2025 All-Star Game at San Francisco Bay. The reimagined event will take place on February the 16th on Sunday at Chase Center, home of the Golden State Warriors, which it should be really the San Francisco Warriors, but whatever.
Yeah.
And for the first time, the NBA All-Star Game will feature a mini tournament. Oh, big surprise there. Geez, did they just do that recently with somewhere else? Anyways. And and I do like the mini tournament that the NBA did in the early part of the year because it's fun, it's exciting. I know you weren't too big on it, but there were some good games, and you throw a lot of money out, even though these kids are all multimillionaires, and they'll do anything for it. So I
Okay, so
understand
let's
that.
just to correct that statement though. Me not being big on it didn't say that there were some great games, because there was some great games,
No, that's
but
what I just said.
me being not being the part that I'm not big on is basically you got to create something for people making 50 million a year to play hard.
Yeah,
It's and that's why, and this is exactly where we're going, as
yeah,
in here we're changing the All-Star game because you guys have wrecked it. You guys took what veterans gave you. The All-Star game used to be something you'd watch. It got
yeah,
competitive in the fourth quarter, and
yeah,
all the best players are going after each other a bit.
yeah,
And they were only getting $25,000 back then in those days. And now
yeah.
this game is, hey, watch me shoot it from half and giggling and all. It's not even competitive. It's
No,
competitive for a couple minutes. It is a terrible, terrible product, and that's the reason they got it. It's like a TV show, Paul. When you have a new show in their first season, and then by midway through the first season, all of a sudden they're introducing a new character. Well, you know why? Because it's not working. And that's what the NBA keeps doing. They keep
yeah,
adding things, trying to fix it, and it hasn't helped viewership. This league is, again, we watch it, but compared to what it used to be, attendance, like visually wise, when the players that we grew up watching were playing in the NBA Finals, especially in the 90s, it was 35 to 36 million people watching.
yeah.
Last year, like 4. The WNBA outdrew a finals game. So it is in trouble. But it's not in trouble financially because all these guys are billionaires, right? So
Well,
the
the
league
people
the
that
league
run the league
survives,
are
right?
billionaires as well.
Yeah.
So
And they have a great marketing campaign, and they sell a lot of
and
jerseys,
the
hats, and
teams,
everything.
a team that used to be worth 500 million is now worth
Yeah, it's worth
3.5 billion.
yeah, exactly. So the
So
league has tons of
nobody's
money.
hurting here.
The league has tons of money, but the
Yeah.
product sucks. Sorry,
Well,
but that's my opinion.
yeah. Oh, that's a bit harsh, but I know what you're
Uh,
saying. So the other thing is the MVP ladder. Has anybody that really jumped out and surprised you at this point,
Well, that's
halfway
the
through
shit.
the season?
That's the shit, man. We talked about it. He should be the MVP. Right now, he's the MVP as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's obvious,
So,
but aside from him,
I mean, you could throw Giannis in there. You could throw Jokic in there. I mean, they. I mean, you could put. I mean,
the
again,
Joker's number two. Joker's
yeah,
number two.
I thought this guy could have been I actually thought this guy, even though he's a rookie, should have been Defensive Player of the Year last year, not
Yeah,
Rudy Gobert.
yeah,
I think he's overrated, but that's just my opinion. Not that
yeah.
he's not a good role player, but Victor Wembanyama is
Wow,
going crazy right now, and he
kid's
could
kid's
easily be.
amazing
He's in the top 5 in MVP conversation,
for
and
sure.
he should be the Defensive Player of the Year. The
He
only guy that
will
can be.
he will get it. We talked about last year. He should have got it. He will get it this year.
If he doesn't get it, then they have to give it to a guy like Daniels. But he's at 3.1 steals. Victor Wembanyama is at 4 blocks a game. And that game against Memphis the other night, Edie got a dunk on him, and then the next
Yeah,
time he got him, right? And he
yeah,
had 8 blocks in the first half of that
I
game.
know.
Like he
I know.
is
It was
just,
incredible.
it's
You
like a
you
video game, man. It's like
you
having a guy
texted.
standing in the basket.
I know you texted me that, and I was like, "Oh, I got to
Oh,
watch this game." And
dude,
Edie
he is.
disappeared. Like
Yeah,
I don't
he
know
is.
what I don't know what Memphis is doing. They're playing
Yeah,
Huff, who's a fringe NBA journeyman big, and
yeah.
the only big that
Oh,
really
yeah.
I like is Santi Aldama
Yeah.
because he can give you 25
He
points in
plays. He'll play
25
physical.
minutes.
Yeah, and he'll play
Excuse
physical.
me. I'm struggling with the old flu here, folks. I
That's all right.
apologize.
But Victor Wembanyama right now
He's
is
no, but Edie is just he's Canadian, and the thing is
a
they need
rookie.
to get the kid involved, and it's just not happening. But the other guy I want to bring up with the MVP, and honestly, I wasn't a big fan because I didn't really know very much about him, and he was injury prone in
Right.
his first couple of years, and he's playing on a shitty team that's playing
Yeah.
better. They're
I mean,
500 right now.
I was
Is
looking right at the stat right
Cade
now. Yeah, that's what I
Cunningham?
was looking at. He's not winning the MVP, but he's going to be the
No,
most improved player this year.
yeah, for sure,
He is
for
just.
sure.
He was a
Wow,
good. Guess what? Anybody who watches college hoops, he was a really good player in college as well.
yeah,
There's a reason he got drafted where he did. He was a good player in college. He's just been battling
yeah.
injuries, like you said, since he's been in the NBA. I mean, he's
Well, he's
almost
been
averaging a triple double. Like
well. He's
it's
right now. He's at if you allow me to just move the point up to he's 26 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 8.3 assists right now, which is really
I'm,
impressive.
I'm looking at his updated stats, and he's 24.4 points, 6.5 rebounds, 9.4 assists, and he's shooting 45% from the field, almost 46% from the field.
Wow,
So,
I
and
don't
he's
know where
shooting
your
30.
source is, but
And
I'm
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 looking right
getting
at
my
ESPN.
I'm getting my source for the NBA right there.
Well, I'm looking right at the ESPN stats. So,
Oh,
but that's
don't
fine.
fall. Okay, nothing against ESPN, but when it comes to fantasy and stats, I
I'm not.
really don't know what the hell they're doing. If you look at Yahoo and you look at all of the different and you look at ESPN, I'm not really sure if they know what they're doing sometimes.
Yeah,
It's all they're all over the place, man. It's just weird. This is not a
yeah.
criticism, just an
No, no.
observation.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't own ESPN. You can say whatever you want about ESPN.
Well,
I don't care.
we'll find out.
It's just that their page is easy to click on and look right at. So, and it's
So
very easy.
SGA Shea is number one
Yep.
at 32 points a game, 6 assists, 2 steals, and a bunch of other really good
Yep.
stuff. And the team loves him. The Joker is at 31 points a game,
Yep.
13 rebounds, and 10 assists, which is just crazy.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he's dealing with the bum elbow. Well,
Guys
tape it up,
unreal.
put
Drink
a knee pad
drink a
on
few
it.
more. Drink a few more pilsners would be good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not like he doesn't.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but it doesn't matter because he's the Pillsbury Doughboy and he's still amazing. Number three is the Greek Freak, of course.
Yep.
31 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. It's like Sabonis is the mini version of the Greek Freak. Just what they bring to the table, it's pretty
Would
impressive.
would you uh, would you venture to put in the top five Trey Young right now the way he's playing?
Well, I know you wouldn't, but no, I
No,
would. As
I
much as I
probably
like
would.
Trey,
He's playing great this year.
as
Playing
much as I play, well, I haven't drafted Trey for about 3 or 4 years in fantasy,
Right.
because of a lot of things. But honestly, I think the next two players I'm going to mention are better in terms of,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
and that
Fair.
is Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
What he's doing with that trade in the Knicks is, of course, I'm a huge Knicks
Yeah.
fan.
He's having a
25
great.
points, he's leading the NBA at 14 rebounds, 3-point assists. He shoots threes. He's been very healthy, and then of course Wembyama,
Yeah, he's
25 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks, and stocks. He gets 3 steals.
that's crazy. And just so
And
you know, percentage points wise, Sabonis is 0.2 percentage points ahead of Carl Anthony to be number one right now for
yeah,
boards. So,
yeah.
but still,
I just honestly, I love all these guys. And then
Wemby,
Wemby's a freak show.
it's
But
much
the
watch
next,
TV in San Antonio games just to watch him. He's
oh
one of
yeah,
those players that you can actually watch the game just to watch him.
they have some other good players as
They do.
well. And I
What I
really like this new young coach and what he's done when Pop
yeah,
is trying to heal. Right.
yeah,
The next five, I just bang them out. They're all incredible. Jason Tatum is number 6.
yep,
Donovan Mitchell is number 7. Shengun has gone into the top 10
okay,
because of their record and their defense.
yep.
And I love that kid. And then Cade and Anthony Davis, believe it or not. And then
Hmm,
there's 5 more that people might not, they'll say, hey, how come you're not mentioning this person? Jalen Brunson, of course,
yeah,
Kevin Durant, your buddy, LeBron James, um, DeMontis Sabonis, and Trey Young,
yeah.
my favorite point
The only
guard in
guy I
the
would take
NBA.
out, the only guy I would take out would be either. I mean, Davis is having a good year, but it'd be him or LeBron in that list you just shared because I think LaMelo Ball should be in there at you know
He's late though. He's late, but
he
the
is
way he's been playing
30,
recently,
30 points a game just
yeah,
about like he's
yeah,
just going.
yeah. I
He is
love
just
him.
having four
Uh,
almost five threes made a game. I mean, he is
yeah.
just crazy right now.
No,
So
I love the
but,
kid. He's absolutely electrifying. It's so
yeah,
fun to watch.
fun to watch.
Um, Trent, do you want to finish up there? What are we at minutes wise? How are we doing?
We're at 49.
Okay, that's great. Why don't we go into the Eastern and Western Conference? How everybody stands? What's been going on? There's a lot of good juice there.
Yeah, well, so we'll start at the East. So obviously
Sure.
Cleveland last night.
Yeah.
So they have a whole whopping losing streak of one game. So, but to have
Everyone's down on that after one
exactly.
shitty game.
Yeah. I mean, what do you call it? What's his name?
On which team?
Smith. Oh no, for Cleveland to be, uh, only 6 losses, this far into the season is, an 850 winning percentage. It's pretty impressive. I mean,
It's incredible. It's
like
incredible.
they've got just a phenomenal start to this year. Like we're halfway through the
34-6.
yeah, it's crazy. And then, teams, they're probably going to win the East. I just don't see it unless they have some terrible injury problems. I mean, Celtics and the Knicks.
Don't say that, please. Don't say
But
that.
I think, Boston's, although, hey, how about our Raptors? Big win against Boston after getting crushed by them the week before.
Two
So good
wins.
on them.
2 wins out of the last 3.
Yeah. But the Boston win was big after they got pumped
Yeah.
by them just the week before, right? So
Yeah,
played
but
really well.
Boston was one of those games that Boston just didn't show.
Well, and Scotty Barnes is playing really well for the Raptors
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But then you get the Celtics and the Knicks, and I mean, I think you have 3 teams, and I hate discounting again the one team we talk about, but we don't really talk about them a lot at Orlando because it's surprising. But I still don't. Indiana's caught up to Orlando because they're starting to play a little bit better. Another really Benedict Mathurin.
Indiana's a better team.
Really good Canadian player again. Hopefully he's going to start playing internationally. I think he was hurt last year. I'm not sure, but he could have easily been on our Olympic team. But I think those 3 teams after Cleveland, I think the East is starting. You're starting to see the teams. Like I said, we're at the halfway mark. I think Cleveland, Boston, New York, Milwaukee, and I put Indiana over Orlando just because I think they're the better team. And then you're kind of, I think, set there. Unless the Heat make some big trade, it's going to be a struggle for them because knowing Pat Riley, he's just going to tell Jimmy Butler, you can sit. We don't need you on our flights. No, I'm not playing you. Especially when the guy wants to dictate where he's going to go. Like, hey, I'll go to Phoenix. Well, of course you'd go to Phoenix, or I'd go here. I would.
Honestly, Trent, this is a problem in the NBA. People don't care anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say in the East, it's really starting to formulate. Those top 5 teams.
Excuse me.
Is Cleveland, Boston, Knicks, Milwaukee, and the Pacers, and then you have Orlando.
No, I got the Hawks. I think they're a better team, healthy above Orlando.
You got the Hawks, Miami, Detroit, Chicago in the next tier, and I think the Hawks are. And I mean, hey, Detroit's still kind of hanging on. They're a win a game, lose a game.
They're playing better, and Durant is playing better.
Oh, he had 17 and 17 the other night. I'm so happy to see that.
And 2 blocks. Yeah,
he's
nice.
a man-child, that guy. But yes, I'm with you.
Do you still have him on your fantasy team?
Oh, yeah, I never dropped them. I wasn't.
Yeah, I did. I've dropped them on many of my teams.
So Atlanta, I believe I'm with you. Atlanta's probably going to overtake Orlando eventually. You just can't.
Especially if Jalen gets over this injury and get him back.
Yeah. So that going on, and then the bottom 5, obviously Philadelphia's playing a little bit better lately, but they're in trouble. Without the big man, they're going to struggle. And Paul
Philly's
George
the best.
Or just be a professional podcaster and not have to play.
Yeah, well, he's getting there after getting a $250 million contract. He doesn't have to worry about anything.
And then you got Brooklyn. I mean, Brooklyn, the Raptors, the Hornets, and the Wizards. I was rooting that the Hornets might be a little bit better this year, but it just, just a mess, that team a little bit, unfortunately.
That franchise has been a mess for a long time, and no disrespect to the person that you love more than anybody else in the world, and that is Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan is a terrible judge of talent. It's pretty
unbelievable,
obvious. That guy couldn't manage a gangbang in a whorehouse, dude.
Whoa.
He is a terrible
And
manager.
you know what? Being a billionaire, he's also really tight how he runs his business. I mean, spend some money, bro. Get some talent.
And he hires all his buddies, so he has yes men, right? Like Rod Higgins and stuff like that. So
oh, my God.
He ran the Wizards terribly and drafted terribly, and he ran the Hornets terribly.
He brought in Mitch Kupchak, and I was like, oh, I know how this is going to go.
So the East is really starting to, take some shape with those top 5 to 7 teams, 5 to 6 teams for sure.
I think it's more than that. I think it expands into the 8 teams.
Sure, but I mean, those are the teams that have a chance at the playoffs right now are
Yeah.
basically outside of Philadelphia are all the teams that we said would be probably in the playoffs in the East.
Well, the
So
way the new system is set up, the guys sitting on the fringe still have an
yeah, you
opportunity
gotta have a
to get
playing
on.
game.
Yeah,
Adds another
exactly.
thing because the product is so good. We have to add something. Thank you for
Well,
proving my point again, NBA.
well,
So
I mean that's
there's
why we
10
brought
teams
it up,
in the
right?
playoffs is
We're
ridiculous.
trying to approach this from a pragmatic way,
Yeah.
and not sound like we're just ranting and bitching and moaning.
No, we're
But
not.
we're
We're
trying to
bringing it up. It's yeah.
we're
It's
just trying to provide information to showcase that this is how we look at it, and we're hoop junkies.
yeah.
Not everybody has to be a hoop junkie, but for us, it's really quite obvious. And if Trent or I wins, well, if I win the lottery and it's a nice chunk, I'm gonna go. We're gonna get an academy here in Canada, and we're gonna go buy a franchise in the BBL in
Yeah.
the British Basketball League, and I'll be the president, the owner, and Trent can be my GM,
Oh
and we
God,
will dominate that
gonna-
league.
that
I'm
poor
telling
team.
you, we're
So
telling
all
you.
right. So the West, we just talked about them too. Another team that everybody talks about Cleveland because of the way they started the season. Well, there's another team that only has 6 losses halfway through, and that's OKC. And they
Yeah,
throttled Cleveland last night.
yeah,
And they barely lost to them in Cleveland. So they played them. Like I said, if that's the finals, we are super lucky as fans as those two teams play in the finals healthy. That'd be awesome. So
and who would
and like
ever thunk that
and
that would
Oklahoma
be?
City doesn't even have their two bigs. That's what's scary about
Hopefully,
Oklahoma.
hopefully, yeah, definitely.
And then again, surprise team, the Rockets. They're still doing it. They haven't, where we talked about Orlando in the East being like really surprising. Well, they're starting to come back down to earth. Houston, man, 27-13. They have not let off the gas. They're playing defense. They're in the top five teams in defense and points given up. So uh,
Excuse me.
that's a team that we were surprised by and they've kept it going. They haven't kind of really hit a bump of a bad streak type thing, or injuries. Whereas Orlando, some injuries, and I mean, let's be honest, probably playing over their head a little bit. But yeah, well, Houston's still a surprise to me. I look at that record and I'm just like, wow, like they're still
Yeah.
there, like they're still doing it.
Emi
So
Udoka and the way
done a
the
great
players
job
have
there.
bought in is, and they've got youth, and everybody's just they're really into it. But Jalen Green, I'd say he's
He's
the
going to
most
the
improved player in the NBA right now, and should be an All Star.
Well, like I said, I think Kate Cunningham's going to win the most improved, but
Yeah.
Jalen Green's no slouch, that's for sure.
No, no, it'd be close.
He's kind of looked like he's matured a little bit because before he was just a
Yeah.
chucker and running around, and he almost looks like he's starting to take it seriously, realizing the talent that he
Yeah.
has. So as
Yeah.
fans, we're lucky if that's what's happening because just a phenomenal athlete, like just I mean,
Yeah.
shoot the ball, jump out of the gym, like just phenomenal guy, fun guy to watch, no
Yeah.
question.
Oh, very much so. Electric.
And then you have like three teams that are kind of Memphis is playing well, right?
Really,
Healthy,
really
all those
four
players
teams, but
healthy.
yeah.
26-15. Then you got the Nuggets playing well, like 24-16. So there's
Yeah.
four. The one
Yeah.
team I find that seems to be in a bit of a lull right now, and then Kawhi's back, but they've kind of been all over the place. Is the Clippers? They started out really strong, and they seem to kind of come back down to earth. But they got a lot of
Yeah.
talent on their team,
Yeah.
and it's a matter of games played. And then you got the Lakers with 21 wins at 6. I know they still have one less win than the Mavericks, but they're ahead in win percentage points.
Yeah.
But these guys are 12 games behind already of Oklahoma City. So,
Yeah.
um, and then you got Minnesota, who, again, they seem to be. I don't know. They're all over the place, man. I don't know which team's showing up when I watch a Minnesota game. I really don't. They're a very frustrating team to
They're
watch.
playing better though. In the last
They're
couple of
playing
weeks, have
better.
been
I
playing
agree.
better.
And Sacramento's playing a lot better. So the other team we talked about, all that
Well,
coaching change.
since the coaching change, just changed
Yeah,
everything, really.
they're really, and then you got Phoenix at 2020 at 10th, and then Golden State at 20-20 in the next
And
spot.
San Antonio at 19 and
San
20
Antonio
is
right there at 19. And San Antonio's a team, again, they're a team that could sneak into that play-in game, that 10th spot. You never know with that,
I
right?
hope so. I hope
Because
so.
we know who's playing for Phoenix, and those guys aren't
Yeah.
playing full season, so we'll see what happens there, right?
No, they're
And I
gonna
mean,
get
who are they
they're
gonna
gonna
trade
get rid
Bradley
of
Beal?
Joseph, and they'll get the big man in. And I think Western Conference is better, and especially when you look at the last
Oh,
five,
it's
six
way
teams,
better. It's not close.
7 teams. It's not close, and
No.
and it's gonna be really exciting to see it. But as much as people are down on the NBA, I'm not. I was refereeing a game a couple of nights ago with a really nice chap I met. He's a developer here in Kelowna with his family, third generation, and when I told him about being a hoop junkie and we were talking about kicks and gave him my card. I had no idea he was a developer when I gave him my card, so you never know what happens, right? And he just kind of went, "Oh, you have a basketball podcast and you talk about the NBA? Why?" And I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's a bit harsh."
Yeah.
It's still the best sport in the world, it's the fastest growing sport in the world, and yeah, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but there's half of the teams in the league are good. There's
Yeah.
15, 16,
Yeah. Yeah.
17, 18 good teams, and the
Yeah.
rest suck. But that's nobody's fault. And that's certainly not us as fans' fault. And they don't care because it's a money making venue. It's about how if I want to sell my franchise, am I going to get 5 billion? Yeah, you will.
Yeah. Like
But
I said, I still love basketball, but anything you love, just like politicians or somebody you vote for or something like that, you can still be critical of and say, here's some stuff that needs, again, when you have to create all these things, it's because the league itself, not financially in trouble, but viewership wise and how popular it is definitely down. They still
yeah.
sell a ton of gear, but I don't think as
So
many
do you
kids,
know
I don't
why
think
I
as many
think?
young
Do
kids
you
are
know
watching.
why? Let me ask you this then, before I say my point.
No, go for it.
What do you think the biggest reason is the viewership is down? What do you think? There's probably obviously more than one, but and
I think
say
two big ones for me is one, the physicality of the game and the defense. Nothing's being played.
yeah,
There's so many just
nobody's
wide open
playing
layups.
defense because they can't.
Only a couple teams do, but you can't because of the rule
No, the
change.
calls. I'm talking about hand checks
And
and stuff.
and the other thing is, I don't want to watch a game where teams miss 75 3-pointers. It's just not basketball. It's
Yeah,
just chucking. And I
yeah,
can go play pickup and watch people chuck it because some of them shoot it better than some of these idiots.
yeah. But you
And
know what? Even in
so,
pickup, it's not fun watching chuckers because
no, of course not.
don't
Who
even
wants
take
to
the
watch
shot and give me the ball for
like the
Christ's sake.
Celtics game the other night against the Raptors? They had almost 50% of their shots were threes in the game, in the
Yeah,
entire game.
yeah.
Like,
You know
so unless
they
you
lead
know,
the NBA in
oh,
3-point
I know.
attempts, right?
It's not basketball to me. When you give up a
No.
layup, when you can do a layup off the glass, nobody checking you, but you're looking for a 30% shooter in the corner to shoot a three instead. I just can't watch it. It's broken. It's
Yeah.
not basketball. So
Yeah,
that's
I
my
mean, I thought you'd say what I'm going to say, and that is the referee culture in the NBA is always been, in my opinion, really bad, and
in the
it's only
gambling
been
culture.
bad in the last 20 years. In the 80s and 90s, maybe it was bad, but it was a whole different game and it was physical. And I thought they did a pretty good job. And it wasn't about the NBA. People didn't come to watch basketball in the NBA to watch the referees
Right.
discern whether they made a mistake or they're having an ego trip or they're being paid by some nefarious, third party. At the end of the day, the games are stopped so often during a game
For
because these
replays.
guys don't know what they're doing and they're worried about making a bad call. So they got to stop the game to make the right call. And even when they make the right call, it's not the right call because they already made a bad call. And then you're just wasting everybody's time. I might as well
Yeah.
have a bathroom break. It's ridiculous. This is not about the referees. This is about the basketball players and just too much onus on referees. And they're largely, they're professionals and there's a lot of good referees and there's some just horrible referees and they shouldn't be in the NBA refereeing. We brought this up last and it's not about male female, it's just about you know it's the referees are always it drives me insane in the
Well,
membrane.
as we've talked about, go to Netflix, watch Flagrant. I think it's Flagrant Foul, the Tim Donaghy story.
I still
Tim
haven't seen that.
Donaghy's.
I
You
still
got to
haven't
watch
seen it.
it. It's maddening. It's not maddening, but it just shows that the NBA covered this up
I
because
honestly, that's why I haven't
it's
watched it
never
because
one
I
person.
just
You should. Well, you
I,
should.
d-
You
I
should
don't
watch
want
it.
it to disturb my
You want to
night's
be a hoop
sleep.
fan. Whatever, dude. You're
I
already
am a hoop
complaining about
junkie.
the
I'm already a hoop
officiating.
junkie.
All
No,
right, well,
listen,
this,
that guy was a clown show. Look, he wasn't the
dude.
only one. He
Again,
was a scapegoat.
let's exactly. And if you watch this, you'd understand that the NBA basically covered this thing up by when they
Of
were going to have an
course.
actual informant as
Of course.
inside the referees, and all of a sudden, something got leaked, and they said, okay, we're just going to charge Scott Foster, who is just a spectacular official.
Your favorite official in the NBA right now,
He,
I think.
he and
He
him,
might be tied with 3
whatever, him and
as your favorite referees.
yeah,
Tony
him
Brothers,
and Tony Brothers is wonderful too.
he's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, and Ed Malloy, real solid.
Ed, oh my god. What a
Okay,
charming chap.
okay. So just you got to watch it, and it's all for anybody. Scott Foster and Tim Donaghy are best friends. Have their families had holidays together. They had Thanksgivings together. They're best pals, texting multiple times a day. This all goes down, and all of a sudden it's just Tim Donaghy. They stop communicating. There was a handful of refs that were involved in this making money. And I'll tell you right now, go back and watch some old games. Go back and watch San Antonio and Phoenix with Steve Nash and Stoudemire in their heyday. Tim Donaghy ref 2 of those games in that series, and you can watch it on YouTube. The calls in that game and no calls in that game by his crew, it is fixed. Go watch Dick Vivetta reffing the Lakers and the Kings in the playoffs and tell me that wasn't fixed.
Trent, I don't have to go back. I remember those games. We've been talking about the ineptitude.
But they're being manipulated by the officiating.
But this has been going on since we first met. We're talking 4 decades, 3 decades ago.
How much money involved?
No, of course, and it's really sad. And of course, now Vegas is involved with all these betting companies, and there's more commercials on betting companies watching an NBA game than Lysol. So you know where it's going. And I think that's a large extent. I think the referees, I think, betting, I don't know. It's just, it seems if they want to fix it, first of all, go back to the 80s and 90s, go back to a physical game, and all these soft little puppies that, have a little finger contusion, or I love this backup center for the Atlanta Hawks had a face contusion. Come on, man. Can you come up with something a little better than a face contusion? What is that? It's a bit vague, isn't it? I mean, what happened? Did you get a slap in the head? Did someone poke your eye? Did you get an elbow in the back? Like, come on, man. And that's where I think the relevance is coming in. I think you need, anyways, I don't want to go on a rant.
But it can be, because I don't want to say fixed. Fixed is different than manipulated. But the officials, and
it's better if we don't say fixed, Trent. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So
we don't want to defame anybody.
Pretty obvious they're being manipulated. So when you watch this flagrant foul, there is a part of it where people can say, well, Donaghy's this and Donaghy. Guess what? He's been convicted. He has no reason to lie anymore. Just like Jose Canseco, when he got busted for steroids, and he writes a book and puts everybody in it. All those guys got busted for steroids eventually. He didn't need to lie anymore. He's screwed already. Yeah. Tim Donaghy's telling the truth. Just like Michael Cohen. People, Trump this, Trump that, and that guy testifies, and all the Trump people are like, well, you can't believe him. He's a liar. Oh, well, he wasn't a liar when you love the guy, right? He has nothing to lose. He's been in jail.
Well, so, by the way, Michael Cohen apparently is leaving the America. I think he's going to a safer country. I'm sure it's different. Because he's afraid of the orange blob, right?
We don't need to talk about that douche anyway. So here's a part in flagrant foul where Tim Donaghy says, yeah, we're going into Denver, where Allen Iverson was playing there. He goes, you know what? I'll just call a few extra carries. Even though they weren't calling it. And then all of a sudden, when he calls it, there's about 4 of them, but a couple of them they show. And Iverson just looks at him like, I've been doing this for how long, right? By that time, he's in Denver. He's already a decade in. And all of a sudden, well, I'm going to manipulate the game. And that's what he did. I'm just going to call a few extra carries that we never call. Or I'm going to do this. It's if you don't think that's happening when you watch, especially the big games, the ones that are on, the finals and the playoffs and stuff, if you watch those games and you've watched these games like we have for so long, and you don't think some of those games that were manipulated enough that the NBA was going to dictate who was going to get to a finals or stuff like that, then you're just lying to yourself. You can still love basketball and still watch it. Just know that that's happening too. And it sucks that as a sports fan, that a purist, it sucks that I hate thinking that way, but I know that's the reality. It's just like the NFL. I don't bet on the NFL because, as far as I'm concerned, I think the owners are betting on games and it's being manipulated. So, unfortunately, there's just just like everyday life we talk about, Paul. It's the 1-2% against the rest of us. They're just making more and more money, these owners and the leagues. Yeah. They don't care about us because we're still going to watch if we love it. So we're the suckers, really. So
I'm not a sucker, but I do enjoy watching it because I try to put the filter on and try to find the good games and good performances.
Of course. I'm sorry for that. Not trying to be negative, but that's just my feeling. You should watch it, Paul. enjoy it too, because it's
Yeah.
informative of what the situation was.
I will.
And it
I
was
just I only have so much time in a game, and right now I'm trying to get my health, and I got to referee 2 games tomorrow and
sure,
2 games Monday, 2 games Wednesday.
no hard done by.
And no, it's all. I'm not complaining. I just when you're feeling this way,
Of
it's
course.
thank God for like good tea and lemon and honey, and this dude at Shoppers Drug Mart, um, just. It's wonderful. Like it's just I don't know how wonderful it is, but
All right.
it got me through the show. So thank you
Yep.
very much.
Good for him.
But Trent, listen, that was a great show.
You bet.
Nice to see you again. Good to see you're
Yep.
healing and you're bouncing
Yeah,
around
man.
like the old Trent.
Sure.
And everybody, once again, we don't need to tell you how it works, but we are on the journey to get 500 subscriptions. That is our
Right.
goal. And please but subscribe would be really
Subscribe
beneficial because we want
and
to
make
get.
comments.
And please comment, negative, positive, whatever you'd like. Just comment, like, and if you do enjoy the show, please, we do it once a week. And thanks for joining us. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, all basketball from the Hoop Junkies, Pauly and ROWLEY. And my co-host with the most is the velvet tongue Trent ROWLEY. And we still have to get you singing. Maybe we'll do an opening prelim music and have both
Yeah,
of us
no.
singing.
Yeah, no.
And then they probably just stop watching us altogether. But in the
We might listen
meantime,
to you singing, but nobody needs to hear you singing or dancing.
I
It's
don't know.
scary.
My wife says I have a little bit of a voice. I was really shocked that she said that. I was like, really? Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for joining us. And Trent, great show. We will see you. We'll talk to you in the next little bit.
Yep.
And everybody, like, subscribe, comment, and thanks for joining us. We're
Thanks
going to
for love.
sign off for now. Yeah, the love is a beautiful thing, and I'm just gonna put on some. Oh, here we go, dude. When you're not feeling well, you got to do anything. Yeah, here we go.
They're gonna be cool.
We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.